I want to start this video by saying that I love Amazon Go. For those of you who don't know what Amazon Go is, it's the new series of brick and mortar stores created by Amazon to get into the market of grocery stores. The only difference between these and your average mini marts is the fact that there are no cashiers and no lines to stand in. You can simply scan your phone, walk in, take what you want, and walk out. Cameras and sensors see what you take and charge you at the end of your trip. It's incredible, and I've used it several times since moving to the city. A few weeks ago, this video was just going to be an in-store review of my experience in these stores, since San Francisco has not one, not two, but three of these stores just in the downtown area. But then everything changed when the San Francisco Board of Supervisors did this.
But the city decided today that they have to offer another option. They have to allow people to pay in cash too.
Supervisor Brown authored the ordinance that passed unanimously today.
There are more than 100 businesses in the city of San Francisco that are currently operating on a cashless model, so they will have 90 days to comply with this new ordinance.
My first reaction to this was one of confusion and a little bit of anger, because I really like Amazon Go, and the ability to go into a store and not need to use cash is incredibly convenient. But then I started looking into this issue more, and I found some troubling facts that not only gave me a second thought on San Francisco's cashless ban, but gave me pause in thinking about if we have a society that is even ready to go cashless in the near future. These are tough questions. Let's look at what we know. Now, San Francisco's cashless ban isn't a flat-out ban on every service that does not implore the use of cash. The exemptions to this regulation include internet-only companies like ride-sharing platforms, as well as food trucks and pop-up stores. So if you're working for Uber, Senior Seasig, or some random pop-up store that will only stay for a few weeks, this regulation will not affect you. Existing cashless stores will have 90 days from the time this enactment was passed to comply or be fined. Repeat violations will be considered a misdemeanor and carry a fine of $1,000. Now, what people asked, including me at first, is if someone doesn't have access to a credit card, then why can't they just get a debit card from a bank? It's free, and you don't need to get approved by some credit card company. Collective wisdom has led us all to believe this, but unfortunately the truth is much more complicated than just going into your local bank and opening a CD. There are inherent things about bank accounts that make it harder for people in difficult situations to take advantage of this system. First is that, for a checking account, you typically need either a direct deposit set up from your employer, or you need a minimum balance. Not having either of these will typically result in fees that will chip away at whatever money you have in the bank. Just one example of this. Chase Bank, which is the bank I use, has 3 different types of checking accounts that you can set up. The most basic level of their checking account has a monthly service fee of $12 just for having the account. This fee can be waived by just one of two ways. You either have a monthly direct deposit of $500 or more, which can range from your employee payroll, your pension, or Social Security, or if you don't have any of those, your other option is to maintain a daily balance of $1,500. And if you're working a minimum wage part-time job and can barely afford rent, you don't have $1,500 lying around for a rainy day. And both of these don't even touch on ATM and overdraft fees. Another question is, how many people is this actually affecting? Should we really be changing the way all of these stores do business for a small percentage of the population? The fact of this issue is that, unfortunately, it does not affect only a small percentage of the population. And even more unfortunate is the fact that this disproportionately affects the young, the poor, and minority groups. According to an FDIC survey in 2017, 17% of all African American households and 14% of all Latino households had no bank account at all. And stating the obvious, in San Francisco, where there are over 4,000 people living on the street begging for money, they're not going to ask you to forward some change to their Venmo account. The final question many people have is, if it's such a problem, why can't people shop somewhere else? Well, that wouldn't be a problem if Amazon dealt exclusively in luxury goods. And Amazon isn't looking at the system of technology with the mindset of keeping it limited to a couple of boutique stores. Amazon is looking to open 3,000 of these stores over the next 2 years. This is not some passing fad for Amazon to jump in, make a splash, and disappear. These stores, and furthermore, this technology of cashless walkout shopping, are going to be a part of our lives for a very long time. And if we truly want the technology that we enjoy to be readily accessible to everyone, we have to be willing to make some changes. Fortunately, even before this regulation was passed in San Francisco, Amazon was already rolling out a method for their Go stores to accept cash. The most recent example of this is their first store in New York City based in Lower Manhattan. It's also the first and, as of this video, their only store to accept cash payments. They haven't laid out a timetable as to when the remaining number of stores will begin accepting cash. But even that is a band-aid on a much larger problem. Amazon doesn't want to deal in cash, and as I expressed earlier in this video, I don't either. But what can we do? Either the regulators come in and help establish a system where banking becomes more obtainable for low-income and minority groups, or, and this is a bold prediction of mine, Amazon will sooner set up a digital system that will allow low-income people to partake in the cashless movement. What I could see is that Amazon would set up accounts that could be accessed in person by depositing cash or checks, and then being able to allow those people to go into any Amazon Go store without the need for checking accounts. Or maybe we just need to look at how our society must better prepare from when we make the switch from one way of life to another. But that's just an idea.